Bodies I have in mind, and how they can change to assume new shapes. I ask the help of the gods who know the trick. Change me and let me glimpse the secret and speak. Better than I know how of the world's birthing and the creation of all things, from the first to the very latest.
There was water and dry land, or even heaven and earth. Nature was all the same, what we call chaos. With neither sun to shed its light, nor moon to wax and wane, nor earth hung in its atmosphere of air. If there was land and sea, there was no discernible shoreline, no way to walk on the one, or swim or sail in the other. There was neither reason nor order, until at last a god sparked. Glowed, then shone like a beam of light to define earth and the heavens and separate water from hard ground.
Once these distinctions were made and the matter began to behave, the sky displayed its array of stars in their constellations. A twinkling template of order, the sea upon which they shone and quickened with fish, and the woods and meadows with game, and the air with twittering birds, each order of creature settling into itself.
A paradise, it would seem, except one thing was lacking: words.
And so, man was born. He was born that he might talk.
Some say the God perfected the world, creating of his divine substance the race of humans.
Maintain that we come from the natural order of things.
But one way or another, people came, erect, standing tall, with our faces set up to gaze down at the dirt beneath our feet, but forward toward the sky in the pride or perhaps nostalgia.
What would you do with all the money in the world?
What a question.
I know what I do. Do you want to know what I do?
No.
I'd never do laundry again.
That's it? That's the big dream?
Among other things.
Do you want to hear a little story?
About rich people?
Yes.
Always.
There was a certain king named Midas, net worth 100 billion.
Now, I'm not a greedy man, but it is a proven fact, an accepted fact, that money is a good thing. A thing to be longed for, a necessary thing. And my God, do I have a lot of it. It wasn't always this way with me. The boats, the houses by the sea, the summer cottages and winter palaces, the exotic furnishing, the soft clothes, the food, and... Honey, be still now. Daddy's talking. Be still. Excuse me. The outrageous food and the 200-liter wine. No, it wasn't always like this. I came up from poor and I worked hard all my life. Still do, mind you. My father was a minor manufacturer somewhere. But I was born with a head for business. It's like everything I touched has turned to gold. Not literally, of course. Wouldn't that be a thing? Turn profit, I mean. And, sweetheart, Daddy's asked you, be still now, take it inside. You see this pool? It cost a pretty penny, I can tell you that. But all it takes is hard work, plain and simple. And those who haven't got it in them, well, what can anyone do? They just haven't got it. Be still now, you're driving me nuts already! But, you know, I never forget that what I do is all for my... Let's see. It's all for the family. Yes, that's what they're all for. Family is the most important thing, isn't it? You know, one's family, no one else's, for God's sakes. When I get home at midnight, 7 days a week, in the moments before sleep, I realized that I realized what was I? Oh yes, that family is what really matters.
Sir,
Yeah, yes. What is it?
this man's been making trouble in town. We believe he's a vagrant, sir, of the worst, most drunken kind.
Hello, King.
What should we do?
Nice place.
Execute him?
No need, no need. In my days, I've most certainly been 3 sheets to the wind.
3 sheets to the... What? What the hell are you talking about? King, I'm all ramped up.
Why, even last week at the feast for?
Let me tell you something, you know what?
No. What?
Let me tell you.
Yes?
Let me tell you something.
Yes, alright.
I've been all over the world.
Oh, have you?
Yes, I'm lost now. But I've been all over the place.
How nice for you.
You listening? Well, let me tell you. There is a country beyond this one where,
But how very fascinating. Well, if you will excuse me.
No, listen. I strayed from the crowd, and I'm lost now. But there is a country.
Asia?
Further.
Africa?
No, further. Over the ocean. I've been there.
Oh.
King, I tell ya, it's like a dream. A dream. I am telling you that in this place, the people, they see each other. And in this place, they live without desire of any kind. And so time, there is no time. Just the blue sky above and the pretty moon at night. And they got the meadows under their feet with the yellow flowers
And, well, thank you. This has been most entertaining, but...
And the people live forever.
What?
They live forever. They never die.
What is it? What is it? Some herb they have? Some...
Oh, no.
Something in the air? Something we could distill? You know, I have shipping fleets, you know, to bring it.
No, it's,
Yes?
Is that your daughter?
What? Yes. Go on! Get out of here! Be still for once in your life. Go on.
You're rich indeed.
Go on. Is it an animal? Even better if it's an animal. We could breed them here. My god, the millions. Don't worry, young man. You will get your cut.
No.
It's not an animal. What is it? What is the secret to eternal life?
It's here.
Some formula? You have it? You have the formula?
No, it's here.
What?
And here.
Oh, that. The inner life. What uselessness. Alright then, off you go. You may sleep in the cabana.
Thank you.
Oh my god, for God's sakes, turn him over. Someone turn him over before he drowns.
Midas!
Good lord, who's there?
I hear you have a follower of mine.
A follower?
Yes, Selenius. He wandered from our group as he passed us to town, and I hear he's with you.
Oh, the fellow in the cabana. Yeah, take him. He's all yours.
I'm so grateful that you didn't turn him away, Midas. You know, that you took care of him and saw that he didn't drown in his condition. And you know what? I'd like to present you with a gift.
A gift?
A miracle of some sort. Some ability. Something to do at parties.
Anything?
Anything at all.
You promise?
Yes, of course.
Then grant me that everything I touch, everything I put my hand to, will turn to solid gold.
That's a really bad idea, Midas.
What do you mean it's a bad idea? It's a brilliant idea.
Just think about it, Midas.
No, you think about it. You gave me your word, now follow through.
Okay then.
He went out walking, and with every step, the gravel under his feet turned to golden nuggets. Delighted, he put his hand to branches of trees and to flowers, and he had gold branches and flowers. All day long he experimented, almost insane with happiness, that the whole of the world could become his personal treasure. Late at night, he stumbled back into his courtyard, laden with precious gold.
Papa!
No! Bacchus! Take it away! Take it away! Bacchus!
I can't.
What do you mean you can't? Yes, you can! You must! Take it away now!
I'm sorry.
No! Take it away! Now!
There is one way, Midas.
What is it? What is it?
Walk as far as the ends of the earth. Look for a pool of water that reflects the stars at night. Wash your hands in it, and there's a slight chance that everything will be restored.
Was that too sad for you?
She was hardly consoled, but she saw she could not hold out any longer. In the face of his resolve, she allowed herself to be soothed and consented to his going.
There were no more details left to be checked, no last-minute changes to make, and the men, arranged on their benches, were ready to row and go. He boarded and gave the sign, and then he turned to wave at her.
She waved at him, while the ribbon of black water widened between the ship and shore. She gazed at him until he was no longer distinguishable, but still she could see the ship. And she narrowed her eyes through the horizon and watched it as it receded to a smaller and smaller object. And then the whole hull was gone, and only the sails remained, and then they too disappeared.
She gazed still at the empty and desolate blue, and then went to her empty bedroom to lie on the huge and vacant bed, and give herself over to weeping.
The vessels cleared the harbor and caught the freshening wind, which set the ringing to singing and slapping against the spars. I ordered the rowers to shape their oars and the sailors to set the yards and make sail. Our ship ran before the wind. We made a satisfactory progress all that day and had reached the point of no return, with as much blue water astern as remained ahead.
But as the sun was sinking in the west, the water, everywhere blue until now, began to be flecked with the white-capped waves sailors dislike.
The weather was worse with every moment, for the winds were on the loose.
Reeve the sails, bail the water, secure the spars.
But Poseidon and his henchmen had arrived. The rest was one enormous green catastrophe.
He thinks in an oddly abstracted way that the waves are lions, crazed with hunters' wounds, or that the ship is besieged town attacked by a horde of madmen. One would think that the heavens were crazed with lust to join the turbulent sea,
which returned their bizarre passion and tried to rise up and embrace the air.
The men have lost their belief in the captain, their courage, their nautical skill, and even their will to live, as they wait for the end.
One weeps and groans aloud.
Another, no braver, is silent, dumbstruck.
One calls on the gods for mercy,
Another curses his fate.
and one says one word,
Elcio!
again and again.
Elcio, my treasure, Elcio!
And this is the end of the world.
Oh gods, hear my mother's prayers, that my body may wash ashore her feet, where she with gentle hands prepare it to be buried.
Nothing left but the slow parade led by Hermes to the underworld.
1, 2, 3, 4, 15, 16, 17, 18, 98, 99, 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 15, 16, 17, 18, 98, 99, 100.
Look at her, Iris. She moved her vigil down to the shore, and now she's sleeping there.
98, 99, 100. 6. Come home. I'm near now. I'm sleeping on the shore. It's not so far until you see me.
This can't go on forever. Go to the house of sleep and ask him to arrange a nighttime visitation, a dream that might show our Alcyone the sorry truth.
Far off, in remotest Campania, beyond where the Cimmerians live, in their gloomy caves is a deeper and even darker grotto, the home of sleep. In this place the sun never can, even at midday, penetrate with the faintest beams. In that cloudy twilight no rooster dares disturb the silence with his rude crowing. No dog or nervous goose gives voice to challenge the passing stranger. Not even branches sigh in occasional passing breezes, but an almost total silence fills the air. At the heart of an almost painted stillness, in a huge, darkened chamber, the god himself relaxes, drifting in languor. Around him, the fragments of ill-assorted dreams hover over the floor in grand profusion, like leaves the trees have let go of, to float through the currents of the air and fall in their gorgeous billows below.
Hello?
Into this strange and breathless place, Iris, the rainbow intrudes.
Oh, somnolent one? Somnolent one? Wake up!
What?
Mildest of all the gods, soother of souls, and healer of wearied and pain-racked bodies and minds.
Iris, let me sleep for a moment. Iris, what do you want?
Devise, if you can, some form to resemble King Ceyx and send it down in a dream to his wife, the Queen Alcyone. Let her know the news of the wreck of his ship and the death of a husband she loves so well. Sleep. Do this for us. Can you? Farewell.
Morpheus! Morpheus! Come and change your shape to that of King Ceyx. Go to his wife and tell her that he's dead. That's good. That's very good. Now go.
Sir, you seem like a seafaring man. Can you tell me where's my husband, Ceyx? Have you seen him or the sea? When is he coming home? His ship is strong and unmistakable. Have you seen him, sir?
Do you not know me? Has death undone me so?
No!
Look at me, I charge you. Look at me.
No, I won't.
Look at me, and know your husband's ghost. Your prayers have done me no good, for am I gone, beyond all help, or hope forever.
Go away!
Am not some bearer of tales, but the man himself, to whom it happened. Look at me, my little bird.
I told you, I knew it would happen, and I begged you not to go. I knew the day you sailed I had lost you forever. The ship, my hopes, and my life grew smaller, all at the same time. You should have allowed me to come.
Little bird.
This is no good, that I should be living and you be elsewhere or nowhere. I'm drowning now, in the air. I'm wrecked here on the land, where the currents are just as cold as cruel.
Get up from your bed and put on your mooring clothes.
Wait for me! Come back! Where are you going? Wait, I'll go with you, as wives are supposed to go with their husbands. Lucina, give me your lantern. Tiggs, come back! Where are you? Come back! He was here! Where is he? Where is he?
All that night, she searched along the shore for her drowned dream husband, but she found nothing, not even footprints, only wave after wave of black water. When morning came, she narrowed her eyes to the horizon and remembered how she looked on that other day.
What is that out there?
She remembered.
Oh, it's a man! Alas, poor sailor, your wife and...
The gods are not altogether unkind. Some prayers are unanswered.
Six! Is this how you returned to me?
She began Blackwater. When morning came, she narrowed her thing happened. By the time she reached him, she was a bird. She tried to kiss him with her bill, and some trick of the ocean's heaving. It seemed that his head reached up to hers in response. You asked, how could he have felt her kiss?
But better ask, how could the gods not have felt it, seen this, and not had compassion?
For the dead body was changing, restored to life, and renewed as another seabird. Together they still fly, just over the water surface, and mate and rear their young, and for 7 days each winter, Alicon broods on her nest that flows on the gentle water for Alias, her father, then keeps the wind short room, and every year gives 7 days of calm upon the ocean, the days we call the Halcyon days.
When you see a miracle like that, how can you deny the existence of the gods? Believe it or not, there are some that do. There was a man called Erzichthon, who scorned the gods and declined to sacrifice on their altars or do them honor. Nothing was sacred to him. He only looked for the usefulness of things. One day, he found himself in a grove sacred to Ceres.
Cut it down.
Sir, the tree is centuries old.
We need the wood. Cut it down.
Sir, this is a sacred grove, and this tree is beloved by Ceres.
It's only a tree that the goddess likes. But say it was the goddess herself, I'd cut it down just the same.
Sir, please.
Get off me, you big son of a bitch.
And he tore the tree down.
Sir? Sir?
Who's that?
I am the tree itself speaking. My pangs of death are eased by one thing.
And what might that be?
That you will never get away with this.
Oh, now I'm really frightened.
The goddess Ceres heard the cry of a tree, and her mind immediately began to move upon torments she might inflict.
Oh, Reed!
Yes?
There is a place in far Scythia. Nothing grows there. No wheat, no grass, no trees. There you will find, huddling together, cold, fear, and gaunt hunger. Tell hunger I command her to visit the and establish a home for herself in his village. I give him to her as a toy.
I will.
I would go myself, but it is forbidden for hunger and me to ever meet.
Oriad flew off to the Caucasus, a bleak and nightmarish region. There, in a field of stones, crouched Hunger. Pulling from between the rocks with her teeth and filthy fingernails some tiny bits of moss. Her hair hung down in long and matted locks. Her eyes were sunken and circled. Her lips were slack and cracked. The walls of her ribs stuck out, as did every bone in her body. One could count the knobs on her spine.
Hunger? Ceres commands, or rather permits you,
Yes?
to go to
Yes?
Erysichthon and never to leave him until he is finished.
Gladly.
Hunger crawled through the air to the house of the victim. As she flew overhead, fields wavered and men starved.
The birds scattered from her path, too weak to fly. It is night when she arrives at Erysichthon's home and curdles through the halls until she finds him sleeping in his room.
She wraps cadaverous arms around him in an embrace as strong as love, but perhaps quite the opposite of love.
She breathes her spirit into his spirit.
And he begins
to dream.
Pastries, cheese, grapes.
He wakes.
Bring me something to eat. Anything. I'm starving.
But he can't wait to be served. He begins to eat everything in sight, meal after meal after meal after meal. But he can't shake this hunger.
More. I need more. More to eat.
Baked shrimps and marshmallows, salami and ice cream, liver and donuts, everything in every possible combination.
Even as he eats, he is planning another menu and complaining of his hunger.
As the ocean ingests the water from the rivers of the world, but still is never filled and remains thirsty and guzzles more and more forever. So he calls out for more.
It isn't enough. It isn't enough!
His gorging empties the larder and storerooms, the warehouses and barns of the city. His hunger is unabated. What is left to sell?
Mother,
My son?
come with me.
Now this part is true, though you may not believe it. His hunger led him to sell his poor, his darling mother.
She doesn't look so strong.
She is. She is. We've had her forever.
I can't give you much.
Just whatever. Just give it to me.
Oh, alright then.
With the few coins he receives, he ran home to eat, riding in a boat behind her new master. Erysichthon's mother leaned over the hull and prayed to someone she once knew.
Poseidon, if you remember me, come and save me now.
From the briny deep, Poseidon heard her prayer, pulled her into the water, and changed her back into the little girl who used to play along with her shores.
The salty water licked the years away, until she emerged, the one who gave him praise in childhood, shouting as she ran among the waves.
This kind of sweet, unbidden praise the gods adore and do not forget.
Hey you little girl, listen up. Where's the old woman who was here a moment ago? Did she dive aboard and swim up to shore?
Sir, I swear by the god of the sea that no one except myself has come to the shore. I swear it.
To this day, at every hour, somewhere in the world, you can still catch a glimpse of that child playing by the shore.
But let his return to our king. It was not enough. The money she earned from him was not enough for his needs. The emptiness within him was unpleasable.
You've seen such men yourself, I'm sure. The godless are always hungry.
More!
always yelling at the waitresses.
I want more!
There can be only one end to such a man.
He will destroy himself.
He will destroy himself.
He will destroy himself.
Bon appetit.
Orpheus and Eurydice. Number 1, Ovid, AD 8. Orpheus, the widower bridegroom, mourned her in the upper world, but his grief was limitless. Inconsolable, desperate, he left the warmth and the sweetness of our air. He dared to descend to the river Styx and crossed it to the underworld.
Through that dim domain, with all its shimmering, furry ghosts, he passed, until he arrived at its melancholy heart and found its king, lying with Persephone. He knelt before them, drowning in his grief.
I don't know what power love has down here, but I have heard that he has some, for he brought you two together. If that is true, that passion moved you once, then listen to me. I try to master this grief, and I can't. I understand. We all come here in the end. My bride Eurydice will soon enough be your citizen. In the ripeness of her years, I am asking for a loan, not a gift. If you deny me, one thing is certain. I want you to keep me here as well.
As Orpheus spoke, the pale phantoms began to weep. Tantalus was no longer thirsty, and Sisyphus sat on his rock to listen.
Orpheus, turn around. Eurydice, your song has moved us, Orpheus, and you may have her on one condition. As you ascend and leave this place, you will not walk beside you, but she will be following. You must not, until you pass our gates, turn around to look at her. If you look at her before you reach the sunlight, she is ours, forever.
I understand.
Hermes will accompany you. Remember, hesitation or doubt and our gift must be returned. A simple enough condition?
It ought to have been. The singer led the way, ascending the sloping path through the murk.
A long way they traveled, almost all the way. But you know what happened, concerned for her, and not quite believing that it wasn't a cruel delusion, a dream, or a mirage, he turned.
Farewell!
That was his last sight of her, but he saw it again and again.
Farewell!
Is this a story of love and how it always goes away?
Farewell!
Is this a story of how time can move only in one direction?
Farewell!
Is this a story of an artist, and the loss that comes from sudden self-consciousness or impatience?
Farewell!
Orpheus and Eurydice. Number 2. Rainer Maria Rilke. AD 1908.
He said to himself, they had to be behind him, said it out loud, and heard it fade away. They had to be behind him, but their steps were ominously soft. If only he could turn around, just once.
But looking back would ruin this entire work. So near completion.
Then he could not fail to see them, those other two, who followed him so softly.
The god of speed and distant messages, a golden crown above his shining eyes, and slender staff held out in front of him, and little wings fluttering at his ankles, and on his left arm, barely touching it, she.
A woman so loved that from one lyre there came more lament than from all lamenting women, that a whole world of lament arose, in which all nature reappeared, forest and valley, road and village, field and stream and animal, and that around this lament world, even as around the other earth, a sun revolved, and a silent star-filled heaven, a lament heaven, with its own disfigured stars. So greatly was she loved.
But now she walked behind the graceful god, her steps constricted by the trailing grave clothes.
Uncertain, gentle, and without impatience.
She was deep within herself, like a woman heavy with child, and did not see the man in front, or the path ascending steeply into life. Deep within herself, being dead, filled her beyond fulfillment, like a fruit suffused with its own mystery and sweetness. She was filled with her vast depth, which was so new, she could not understand that it had happened.
She had come into a new virginity and was untouchable. Her sex had closed like a young flower at nightfall, and her hands had grown so unused to things that the God's infinitely gentle touch of guidance hurt her like an undesired kiss.
She was no longer that woman with brown who once had echoed through the poet's songs, no longer the white couch scent, an island, and that man's property, no longer.
She was already loosened like long hair, poured out like fallen rain, shared like a limitless supply.
And when, abruptly, the god put out his hand to stop her, saying, with sorrow in his voice,
"He has turned around."
She could not understand, and softly answered,
"Who?" Far away, dark before the shining exit gates, someone or other stood, whose features were unrecognizable.
He stood and saw a hall on the strip of road among meadows, with a mournful look, the god of messages. Silently turned to follow the small figure already walking back along the path, her steps constricted by those trailing grave clothes.
Uncertain, gentle, and without impatience.
There lived at one time a wood nymph named Pomona, whose skill in the care of plants and trees has never been equaled. She hardly noticed the rivers and forests, but loved the fields and orchards. These were her passion, her life. She didn't disdain Aphrodite as much as ignore her. She kept aloof from any suitor. There was, however, one suitor, the god of springtime, Vertumnus. He was
in love
with her, more than all the rest.
He adored her.
In the manner of the Shire gods, he used to disguise himself with put of a farmhand, wear a straw hat, and a working man shirt, and stick hay stalks behind his ears to look like some storybook yokel.
Howdy.
When that produced nothing, he thought he might hold in his hand a pruner, trying to look like a field hand who tends the grapes in their arbors.
After the complete failure of that, he came with a ladder, to seem as though he were bound for some nearby orchard to gather apples.
With wigs, costumes, and makeup, he once tricked himself out as a soldier, romantically returned from foreign wars.
Another time, he set himself up as an ordinary fisherman, fishing in her path on the chance that she might pass by.
He waited from dawn to dusk, passing from boredom to terror, and back again.
The point was to be near her.
Stand there and gaze at her beauty.
And maybe to wish her good morning.
Or
good afternoon.
Or
good evening.
Before he plodded on by.
I live for these trivial moments.
One day, he put on an old woman's dress and a wig, and wandered through the green hills until he saw his beloved standing in the lavender.
Lovely, truly lovely. But you, miss, are lovelier still. Just, look at that, would you, and think how that tree and wine complement each other, complete each other. Separate, they aren't much, but together they're splendid. There's a lesson in that, my dear, one that you might consider. The way you've been keeping to yourself is no good. It's a sad violation of nature, as well as a waste. A lover is what you need to make you complete as a woman. You'd have many choices, I think, as many as Helen, but there is one in particular I'd recommend, Vertumnus. I know him as well as I know myself, and I guarantee that his eyes are for you alone. Consider that. He's young, attractive, healthy, and strong. Your tastes are too same, for he likes trees and gardens almost as much as you. Besides, he's fun and takes on various disguises. It's a game he likes to play. Believe me, you may take these words that I speak as if they were coming from his own mouth.
None of this was working.
Listen, aren't you afraid of offending Aphrodite? Don't you know the story?
What story?
The story of Cinyras, his daughter Mirha, and Aphrodite.
No.
And he began to
tell her.
Part 1. The Mistake. There was a girl, like you, named Mirha, and she too ignored Aphrodite. She wouldn't fall in love. There were suitors everywhere, but she was blind to them. Finally, Aphrodite had enough and seized with her passion.
So?
It was a passion for her father.
That isn't true.
It is.
You can shut yourself in a room, bolt the door, but love will come through the window. Draw the curtains, lock the casement, but love will seep through the walls. Never think that you can be safe from love.
She struggled hard against her passion.
O gods, I pray you, keep off this wickedness. Make me a daughter to my parents. Even to think what I am thinking is a crime. Or is it a crime? Who would condemn such love as crime? The animals I've seen will do as they desire. A ram goes to the ewe that he has sired. The birds will make a nest with those the nest once held. How happy they are to be free. But we have laws. Yet there are countries, I have heard, with no such laws, where in the dark the bonds of love, already strong, might be made perfect. Why do I keep thinking of such things? Leave me alone. He is the best of men, the best of fathers. If I were not his daughter, then I might lie with Cinyras, but I am his daughter. You have been virtuous in my body, Mirha. Now be so in mind.
Mirha?
Father?
Why are you crying?
It's nothing, nothing.
Why should a girl like you be sad? There are suitors at our door every day, and yet you keep refusing them and weeping in the corners of the house. Is there someone special you are hiding?
No.
Then what are you waiting for?
Nothing.
None of them pleases you?
No.
Then what sort of a husband would you like?
one like you.
Oh, may you always be such a good, sweet girl.
Midnight came, and sleep crept in the palace to fold man in his arms, but Mirha could not sleep. Tangled in a dream of her father, she tossed all night long, caught between her shame and her desire. Like a tree once wounded by the woodman's axe, that leans first one way in the wind, and then another, hesitates but always falls.
Part 2. The Solution.
Mirha, what are you doing? My child, what are you doing?
Nurse, leave me alone.
What is it? I'll help you, whatever it is. The old are not altogether helpless. Has someone bewitched you? Spells may be broken. Or have you crossed some god? Still, you may look to appease, by sacrifices and prayers, even the heavens' anger. What else can it be? Your mother and father are well. I know! It is love! It must be love! But I can help you. Whatever it is, whatever you want. I swear by the gods to help you. Only tell me, your father will never know.
Go away!
But why?
Go away or stop it. Stop asking why I grieve. It's a crime. The thing you're trying to learn. A crime.
This went on, but the old nurse would not give up.
Oh, mother, mother, happy in your husband.
What does your mother have to do with... Oh, child, whisper in my ear and tell me I am wrong. I swore to help you, and now I must. Tomorrow, your mother leaves for the feast of Ceres. She'll be gone 9 days. Your father will drink. He will be likely, as any man can be, to listen to my suggestion. That a pretty girl adores you, loves you, and wants to visit your bedroom. Can she?
She's attractive.
Yes, and young.
Young.
Your daughter's age.
Alright then.
There's only one condition. She's very shy and is afraid for you to see her.
How charming.
Part 3. The Corridor.
In the small hours of the night, when all was still in the palace, when the moon had fled from the sky and the stars were concealing themselves in a shroud of cloud, she set out for her father's apartment. She stumbled, recognized this as an omen, but nevertheless turned down the hallway.
Your girl is here.
Part 4. Unnameable.
Full of her father, the girl slips out the room, guilty but shameless.
There's nothing to fear or to hope for now.
The next night, she returns.
Because twice is no worse than once.
And the third night, she's back again.
Let me see you.
No.
I want to see you.
No.
Let me see you.
No.
Ah!
She escaped into the darkness out of the room, the house, the city, into remote and exotic lands, even as far as the Arab wilderness.
O gods, I pray you, change me. Make me something else. Transform me entirely. Let me step out of my own heart.
Someone must have heard her prayer, for she did change.
Some say she changed into a tree.
Some say she gave birth to a boy called Adonis.
Others contend that she dissolved into tears.
And this last was not a mere expression, some rhetorical turn or a poetic and hyperbolic trope, but simply the unadorned, terrible truth. She stepped into a shimmering stream and began to dissolve. Her body melted.
And then she was gone.
This story got Thomas nowhere.
Why are you wearing that ridiculous wig?
I don't know. I thought...
Take it off. And take off that idiotic dress.
I'm embarrassed.
Take it off.
When, at last, the god revealed himself just as he was, much to his surprise, he had no need of words. Little Pomona was happy with what she saw, unadorned and undisguised. Soon enough, the vine was clinging to the tree.
Go on.
Well, my parents were separated when I was really little. Before I was even born. It was sort of a one night sort of thing. Except it was in the day, in a meadow, where my mother went to watch my father pass by every day. Anyway, I always knew who he was, and I would see him pass by every day. Of course, who doesn't? But I never knew him, and he wasn't really around. I mean, not around.
Where better might we find a more precise illustration of the dangers of premature initiation than in this ancient tale of alternating parental indulgence and neglect?
I went to an expensive school, and there were a lot of boys that were, you know, the sons of the rich and famous. And one day, we're all on the playground, and this one kid, Epiphanes, he goes to me, and he's like, "So, Phaeton, who's your father? What does he do? Blah blah blah." So I tell him, "My father's the sun." And he tells me, "Tell me another." And I say, "He's the sun. He's Phoebus Apollo." And he just basically trampled me. Just basically beat the shit out of me. Like I was lying or something.
Neither his own opinion of himself, nor the regard for him or lack of it in his peers, obviates the father's primitive role as initiating priest for the younger being. Now, it cannot be contested that the absence of this figure is, for the son, an almost irredeemable loss.
So, I go home, and I say, "Mom, this happened, you know, at school." And she gets all upset, crying and everything, because she still loves him, and it's an insult to her as well. And I'm like, well, if it's true, how come there's no proof of it? It's unfair to us, you know, that there's no proof. And she gets even more upset, and she says, "Hear me, my child. In all his glory, your father looks down upon us. By his splendor, I swear that you are his truly begotten son. That fiery orb you see, crossing the sky each day, whose heat enlivens and enables the world and orders our days and nights, is indeed your sire. Believe me, my darling, blah blah blah."
When he matures beyond the customary Eden of the mother breast, the child seeks to individuate beyond its enfolding gate and turns to the new symbols of the paternal realm, thus beginning his spiritual passage from one sphere to the next.
So she tells me to go over to the valley where my dad goes to work every morning, and just ask him to set things straight. To, you know, do right by me. So I set out, and it's hot, and it's dusty, and it's long, way across Ethiopia. And I hitch part of the time, and part of the time I walk, and finally I get there. And the hill is steep.
But this passage is never easy.
At the door are my dad's secretaries, the days and the hours and the century, but they recognize me, and they say, "Go on in," and there he is, all shining and golden, and I can't even look at him. He's so bright. And you know what he says to me? He says, "My son, you are welcome."
My son, you are welcome.
Speak, Phaeton, to your father.
Speak, Phaeton, to your father.
I cannot even tell you what this was to me. So I tell him everything, you know. I just spill out my guts. He listens to me and he says, "Let me grant you a favor."
Let me grant you a favor.
Whatever you ask shall be yours.
Whatever you ask shall be yours.
And he swears to it.
The conventional exordium of the initiate form, from latent to realized potential, is inevitably accompanied by a radical realignment of his emotional relationship with the imago of parental authority.
Now, there's only one thing I want. I mean, it's obvious, right? I say, "Give me the keys to your car." And immediately, he starts backpedaling, saying it's his job.
It's my job.
And no one else can take it from
you. Can't do it.
And that, up in the sky, there are the bull, and the lion, and the scorpion.
There's a scorpion.
To get me. And I say, "Give me the keys to your car. I want to drive it myself across the sky. It's my turn. You promised. I want to light the world today."
The father, or his substitute, must be assured before he transfers the symbols of adult vocation that the son is no longer operating from infantile complexes. Complexes that might dangerously redirect his new task through the unconscious promptings of self-aggrandizement, personal preference, or even resentment.
Where have you been all my life, Dad? It's my turn. Hand it over. So he hands over the reins, but he won't stop giving me advice, you know, like, don't fly too high.
Don't fly too high.
Nor too low. Stay in the tracks. Go slantwise.
Go slantwise.
On and on and on. But I don't listen.
Myths are the earliest forms of science.
It was over before it began. It was total chaos, okay? Out of control. As if no one was driving, you know. My knees were weak, and I was blind from all the light. I set the earth on fire, and I fell. And it just destroyed me, you know. I was just completely and utterly destroyed. H-O-V-E-R. Over.
It has been said that the myth is a public dream. Dreams are private myths. Unfortunately, we give our mythic side scant attention these days. As a result, a great deal escapes us, and we no longer understand our own actions. So it remains important to speak not only of the rational and easily understood, but also of enigmatic things, the irrational and the ambiguous, to speak both privately and publicly.
Who is this?
This is Eros, god of love.
And why does he have wings?
So he can move quickly from body to body.
And why is he naked?
To make us transparent.
To make us what?
Transparent in our love, foolish to others, exposed.
And why is he blind?
He is always pictured blind, but he really isn't.
Because in love we're so ignorant and so compulsive?
There's that.
And what else?
He is blind to show how he takes away our ordinary vision, our mistaken vision that depends on the appearance of things.
And who's this coming down the stairs?
Her name is Psyche.
Psyche?
Yes.
Her name is Psyche?
Yes.
And what's she doing here?
She's married to the god, but she's never seen him.
Why is that?
He forbids it.
Well, and how did they meet?
Psyche was so beautiful that goddess Aphrodite hated her. She sent her son to punish her, but he fell in love instead.
Well, and does she know that he's a god?
No, she suspects he's a monster.
And have they had sex already?
Oh, yes.
Well, and how was that?
It was good.
Then why does she suspect he's a monster?
Her jealous sisters told her so.
And she listened to that?
Unfortunately, yes.
So now she's coming to see him as he sleeps?
Yes.
To make certain?
Yes.
With her eyes?
Yes. She's very young. It happens all the time.
She doesn't trust what she has felt herself?
Not with the radical trust we need.
And what does the word psyche mean?
In Greek, it means the soul.
And what's going to happen to her now?
She's going to suffer.
And?
She's going to suffer.
And?
She's going to suffer.
What does she have to do?
She's given the horrible and lonely tasks by Aphrodite.
Such as?
Sorting thousands of little seeds, one from the other.
And how did she manage?
Some little insects help her.
Like in fairy tales?
Like in all the fairy tales.
And what else?
She had to go down to the underworld, fetch various things.
And wasn't she afraid?
She was petrified, but she did it all the same.
Wasn't it hopeless?
It was hopeless, but she did it all the same.
What did love do in the meantime?
He healed his little wound. It hurt him so much when she looked at him. The wax from the candle fell on him and burned him.
And how does it end?
She finishes her tasks and Zeus declares enough's enough.
He overrides love's mother?
Yes, and further, he gives Psyche a special potion, and she becomes immortal. Then he declares that their marriage will last forever.
Does it?
Of course.
So it has a happy ending.
It has a very happy ending.
Almost none of these stories have completely happy endings.
This is different.
Why is that?
It's just inevitable. The soul wanders in the dark until it finds love. And so wherever our love goes, there we find our soul.
It always happens.
If we're lucky, and if we let ourselves be blind.
Instead of watching out?
Instead of always watching out.
If you will indulge us, we have one more tale to tell. A coda, if you will. It happened that one night, Zeus, the Lord of the Heavens, and Hermes, his son, came down to earth to see what people really like. They disguised themselves as two old beggars, stinking and poor, ragged and filthy. They knocked on 1,000 doors.
Hello, do you have any spare money
Get out
here?
of here! Get the hell out of here! I work hard for my money.
And 1,000 doors were slammed on them.
Hello, we're tired. We live on the street, and we hope that you might perhaps give us some money or food or something.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry. And last, they came to a little hut on the outskirts of town.
Why bother knocking here? We've knocked on houses of all kinds, the homes of people with plenty to spare. Whoever lives here obviously has nothing.
Let's give it a try all the same. We've come all this way.
This is hopeless. Let's just go home.
We're strangers! Philemon, there are guests at our door.
Hello, we are the strangers to these parts. We've lost our way and we don't know.
Bosses! Why are you standing there? We must bring our guests inside.
Do you know us?
Of course.
You do?
Yes.
Then, who are we?
Why, you are children of God. Come in, come in.
The two immortals, satisfied that their disguise had not been seen through, entered the house, lowering their heads to fit through the door.
No, don't sit on the floor. Sit on chairs as quality people do.
Philemon ran to get another chair. And Bosses fetched 2 pieces of cloth to pad them so the strangers might rest easy.
He stirred the coals in the hearth and fanned the fire to cook them a meal.
Philemon set out the embroidered cloth that they saved for feast days.
Baucis saw that one of the legs of the chair was short, and she propped it up with a shard of a pot.
Philemon set out a plate of olives, green ones and black, and a saucer of cherry plums. Then there was cabbage and some roasted eggs.
For dessert, there were nuts, figs, dates, and plums.
And a basket of ripe apples.
Remember how apples smell?
At last, with a show of modest pride, they brought out a bit of honeycomb for sweetness.
Philemon poured wine from a bottle, but as he filled the glasses of the guests, he saw that the bottle remained full. And then
they knew.
Oh, mercy! Mercy!
You are divine, and we serve you such a simple meal. Bosses, go and kill the goose.
Let it live! We are gods, and we thank you. You've done enough, more than your nasty neighbors sought to do.
Suddenly, everything was changing. The poor little house, their simple cottage, was becoming grander and grander, a glittering marble columned temple. The straw and reeds of the thatched roof metamorphosed into gold, and gates with elaborate carvings sprang up, as ground gave way to marble paving stones.
Old man, old woman, ask of us what you will. We shall grant whatever request you make of us.
Having spent all our lives together, we ask that you allow us to die at the same moment.
I'd hate to see my wife's grave, or have her weep at mine.
The gods granted their wish, arrived at a very old age together. The two stood at what had been their modest doorway and now was a grandiose facade.
And Bosses noticed her husband was beginning to put forth leaves, and he saw that she, too, was producing leaves and bark. They were turning into trees. They stood there, held each other, and called, before the bark closed over their mouths.
Farewell.
Walking down the street at night, when it's still here, stirring into intermingled branches of the trees above, the ardent prayer of Bosses and Philemon. They whisper,
Let me die the moment my love dies.
They whisper,
Let me not outlive my own capacity to love.
They whisper.
Let me die still loving, and so never die.
So never